Dorothy Marshall walked into a Bronx pawn shop, a worn velvet box trembling in her hands, 2 weeks after burying her husband of 41 years.
Lady, we close in 15. Whatever that is, make it quick.
She opened the lid. Inside, a gold watch gleamed under the cheap fluorescent light.
Let me see that. Knockoff. Probably Chinese. $80, take it or leave it.
$80? Robert said it was his father's. He said it was special.
Fine. 120. And that's out of pity. Final offer.
Number. I can't do that.
She closed the box with trembling fingers and walked out, Larry's scoffing laugh chasing her. Outside, a young appraiser from Phillips' auction house, Olivia Chen, watched the old woman's distress with a frown.
He never even looked at the engraving. Robert always said it was special. What am I going to do now?
Olivia unfolded her arms and walked toward the old woman, her Phillips ID badge catching the dim streetlight.
Ma'am, excuse me. I work for an auction house. Are you okay? That watch, may I see it?
It was my husband's. The pawnbroker offered $80. Said it was nothing.
I can arrange a free appraisal. No obligation. Here is my card. Please call me.
An hour later, Dorothy sat at her kitchen table, a pile of funeral bills with red overdue stamps staring back at her. Overdue, full payment demanded within 10 days or legal action.
Robert always said the watch was special. His father carried it out of Berlin. And I almost gave it away for nothing.
In 1948, Samuel Greenfeld, a Jewish watchmaker, hid this very watch from Nazi confiscation and escaped Berlin with it sewn into his coat lining.
That pawnbroker never even flipped it over. Samuel survived the Nazis. I can't let his watch go for $120.
She found Olivia Chen's Phillips card in her pocket and dialed the number with a steadying hand. Next morning, Dorothy rode the subway to Phillips, the watch box hidden under her coat, her pulse racing.
Right this way, Mrs. Marshall. We're ready for you.
In the bright appraisal room, 2 white-gloved experts bent over a lamp, the watch exposed on velvet. The senior appraiser raised his head and whispered, "Patek Philippe, reference 1518, perpetual calendar, steel case, one of 4 known to exist."
Mrs. Marshall, the estimate. It's over $2 million.
Dorothy's hand flew to her chest. The room blurred.
$2 million. Samuel sewed this into his coat, and now it's worth more than any house.
She sank onto a chair, the velvet box still open before her, tears spilling.
I only brought it because of a funeral bill. Robert never said it was this.
It's your watch, Dorothy. Whatever you decide, we're here to help.
Dorothy sat frozen, the watch between them, her mind a storm.
Robert, I hope you understand. I can't lose our home on top of losing you.
The spring auction will attract global collectors. With the provenance, we expect fierce bidding.
Samuel carried it through war. Now it will pay for your grave, baby.
She took the pen and pressed it to the consignment form. Dorothy Marshall. The signature was shaky but final.
You've just made history, Dorothy. This watch will never be forgotten.
Olivia placed the watch inside a safe, the dial clicking shut with a sound like a small door closing forever. Dorothy stepped out of the auction house, the empty box under her arm, the weight of 41 years pressing down. That evening, she sat alone in her living room, the velvet box open and empty on her lap, and let herself cry. Days later, Larry slouched behind his counter, the pawn shop's ancient television crackling with local news.
Wait a minute. Rewind that.
On screen, the Patek Philippe sparkled under Phillips' lights, the anchor calling it a Holocaust survivor's watch. Estimated at over $2 million.
That's the watch. The old woman's watch. I called it a knockoff for $80. Yeah, reporter? I told her it was special. Offered her 10 grand. She walked out.
The reporter hung up. Larry's lie tasted stale. He dug through old transaction slips, searching for a name, a number. Anything on the Marshall woman.
No answer. Not listed. No forwarding. Nothing.
He grabbed a heavy glass off the counter and hurled it against the cash register. The shatter echoing through the empty shop.
That watch was mine. I could have been rich, Now they'll crucify me.
A week before the auction, a private collector arrived at Dorothy's Bronx apartment carrying a briefcase with $1 million in cash. 1 million. Cash, he said, opening the briefcase on her kitchen table. No auction, no publicity.
$1 million. I could pay the funeral bill, keep the house. But Robert would hate this. The watch hidden away. No, sir. That watch comes with a story. A story that belongs in the open.
The collector left without a word, his briefcase swinging. Dorothy sat still, then called Olivia and asked her to come.
You sounded urgent. What's on your mind?
In 1948, Samuel was a watchmaker in Berlin. The SS was confiscating Jewish valuables.
He hid the Patek inside a hollowed clock, then sewed it into his coat lining when he escaped.
Olivia's pen flew as she listened, rewriting the lot description with fresh urgency.
This provenance is extraordinary. Collectors will fight for a piece of history.
Back at her desk at Phillips, Olivia Chen dug into the history of Lucky Pawn.
3 formal complaints in 2 years. Elderly sellers, all underpaid. Larry Dunham has been robbing people.
She submitted a formal undervaluation complaint to the state licensing board, attaching the Patek's auction appraisal as evidence. That evening, a state inspector in an NYS jacket knocked on the glass door of Lucky Pawn. He handed Larry a notice of investigation citing gross misrepresentation of merchandise.
That old woman reported me. She's going to ruin everything.
He tore the notice in half and threw it on the floor, but the damage was done. Across town, Olivia called Dorothy to tell her what she'd done.
I couldn't let it go, Dorothy. He offered you $80. He's done it to others. An inspector visited him today.
You didn't have to do that for me. But, thank you. Maybe he'll think twice now.
That same night, under a heavy gray sky, Dorothy walked through the cemetery gates, a single red rose in her hand. She knelt at Robert's grave, the rain beginning to fall softly, blending with her tears.
I brought you a flower, baby, and I need to tell you something. Tomorrow, your daddy's watch goes to strangers. They say it's worth enough to change lives. I almost gave it away for $80. Remember that pawn shop? You would have laughed, but I am scared. What if I am betraying you by selling it?
The rain fell harder, but she didn't move. She pressed her palm against the cold stone.
Number. Samuel didn't save it for it to rot in a drawer. He saved it so it could speak.
Something loosened in her chest. She whispered goodbye, leaving the rose on the wet marble.
I am ready now. Let them see what you came through, Robert.
The Phillips auction room shimmered, filled with collectors in dark suits. Dorothy sat in the front row, hands knotted, Olivia beside her.
Here we go, Dorothy. Look at that crowd. They know what this is.
Lot 42. A Patek Philippe 1518 perpetual calendar chronograph in steel, documented provenance. Bidding opens at $500,000.
Paddles shot up. 550, 600, 700. Bids rippled through the room like a wave.
Every paddle is another voice, saying Samuel's survival mattered.
$1 million. 1,100,000. 1,000,002 on the phone. Do I have 1,000,003?
Dorothy's breath caught. She gripped Olivia's arm, nails digging in.
It's going higher, Dorothy. Much higher.
The bidding jumped past $1,005,000, then $1,008,000, the auctioneer's chant barely keeping pace.
Oh, Robert, your daddy's watch is flying.
The room hushed as the bid ran to $1,009,000. Then a woman in glasses raised a phone paddle. The Berlin Museum. 2 million.
2 million on the museum's line. 2,100,000 from the gentleman in blue. 2,200,000 to Berlin. 2,000,003 in the room.
The auctioneer's eyes flicked between bidders. 2,400,000 on the museum's phone. The room held its breath.
$2,400,000. Going once. Going twice.
The gavel slammed like a gunshot. Sold to the Berlin Museum. The room erupted, but Dorothy heard nothing.
Samuel's watch. Our watch. It spoke, and the world listened.
She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. Olivia wrapped an arm around her, her own eyes wet.
You did it, Dorothy. You honored him.
I just sold my husband's heart. But I think he would have understood.
As the crowd dispersed, a tall, silver-haired man in a dark suit approached Dorothy, his expression gentle but formal.
Mrs. Marshall, I am Dr. Klaus Weber of the Berlin Museum für Kulturgeschichte. May I have a word?
The museum that bought it. Why does he want to talk to me?
We researched your father-in-law, Samuel Greenfeld. His bravery in hiding this watch from the Nazis is documented in our archives.
He opened a leather folder, yellowed photographs, a wartime inventory, and a handwritten note from 1948.
In accordance with our restitution policy, the watch belongs with his family. We wish to return it to you.
He placed a black leather case into Dorothy's trembling hands. Inside, the Patek Philippe gleamed.
I don't understand. You paid over $2 million. You are giving it back?
Money does not erase history. The watch belongs with the woman who carries its story.
He gave it back. Samuel's watch is ours again. Robert, can you see this?
Weber gestured to a small private room off the auction hall, its walls lined with historical photographs.
Your father-in-law, Samuel, was a master watchmaker. This photograph is from his workshop in Berlin, 1947. The Nazis raided his shop in June 1948. He had hidden the Patek inside a hollowed mainspring tool.
A yellowed inventory card read, 1 gold Patek Philippe wristwatch, serial 862,993, reported missing. Last seen with watchmaker S. Greenfeld.
He sewed the watch into the lining of his coat and escaped on the last train to Vienna. Our archives hold his transit permit.
He risked his life for this watch. It carried his heart across a continent.
Your family's survival is woven into this watch. The museum believes it must remain with you as a living testament.
I never knew this depth of his story. Robert only told me it was special. Now I see why.
She opened the case and looked at the engraving she had nearly given away for $80. Patek Philippe, 1948.
I will make sure the world knows Samuel's name.
Back at her modest Bronx home, Dorothy placed the Patek on the table beside her husband's photograph, then dialed the Berlin number with a steady hand.
Dr. Weber, it's Dorothy Marshall. After today, I know what must be done with the money the museum paid.
I pray it is something that brings you peace, Mrs. Marshall.
$400,000 to the museum for a Samuel Greenfeld permanent exhibit. And a watchmaking scholarship for Black students.
This is beyond anything we hoped for. The exhibit will be a centerpiece, and the scholarship will change lives.
His tools were hidden, but his talent should never be. I want young people to hold that loop.
We will name the scholarship in his honor and coordinate the details. You have my word.
Dorothy, I can coordinate with the community college. Let me set up the application process.
$80 he offered. Now I'm giving away $400,000. That's the real appraisal.
By the end of that week, the scholarship was announced internally, and the museum had begun drafting the exhibit plans. That Sunday, under the hum of television cameras, Dorothy Marshall walked to a podium at the Phillips press room, the Patek watch finally on her wrist.
I am announcing the Samuel Greenfeld Memorial Scholarship in Watchmaking, funded by the sale of his 1948 Patek Philippe and a gift of $400,000 to the Berlin Museum that returned it to me.
Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled. Olivia stood at the side, her eyes wet. Across the Bronx, in the dusty glare of Lucky Pawn, Larry Dunham hunched in front of the same old television, the news channel broadcasting Dorothy's face.
That's her, giving away millions while I am sitting here with nothing.
The mail slot clanked. A certified letter slid to the floor. He tore it open. The letter from the state licensing board was brief. After investigation, your license is revoked for gross misvaluation and fraud. You must cease operations immediately.
They shut me down over one old watch. I'll sue.
He tore the letter to shreds, then grabbed a baseball bat off the shelf and swung at a display case. Glass exploding. On the television, Dorothy smiled. 3 weeks later, Dorothy Marshall stepped out of a taxi in front of the Berlin Museum for Kulturgeschichte, the Patek Varm on her wrist.
Welcome, Dorothy. The exhibition is ready. Would you like to see it?
She followed him into a sunlit gallery where a photograph of Samuel Greenfeld dominated the wall, his eyes kind behind wire glasses.
There he is. The man who sewed a watch into a coat and saved it through war.
Inside a glass case, a replica of his workshop bench held a mainspring tool, the very model he had hidden the watch in.
The scholarship applicants are arriving next week. Your gift made this possible.
This watch was almost lost, but now it will help others find their craft. Samuel's story will live on, not just in this building, but in every student who holds a loop.
The director handed her a plaque commemorating the donation and a copy of the first scholarship announcement. As she left, the museum's glass facade reflected the watch on her wrist. The circle was closing. Back in the Bronx, Dorothy and Olivia sat at a community college table, surrounded by stacks of scholarship applications.
47 applications. Nurses, mechanics, a sculptor. How do we choose just one?
Dorothy unfolded a letter written on lined paper, the handwriting small and steady. My grandfather taught me to take apart a movement when I was 10. I want to be the first in my family to finish college.
This one. Keisha Williams. She writes like she's been waiting for this.
Dorothy picked up the phone and dialed Keisha's number, her fingers steady despite the tightness in her throat.
Hello, this is Keisha Williams.
Keisha, this is Dorothy Marshall. I am calling to tell you that you've been selected as the first Samuel Greenfeld Memorial Scholar.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Miss Marshall, I don't know what to say. This changes everything for my family.
Dorothy hung up and turned to Olivia, who was already crying. The watch had found its next custodian. A week later, the community college auditorium filled with families and reporters. Dorothy sat in the front row, the Patek on her wrist, a quiet smile on her face.
I grew up in a family that could barely afford groceries. This scholarship is more than money. It's a promise that my grandfather's skill can become my future.
The crowd applauded, many wiping tears. Dorothy rose from her seat and walked toward the stage.
I was offered $80 for this watch. Today, I am giving a young woman the chance to turn a talent into a profession. Keisha, pass it on.
Keisha accepted a certificate and a loop, the same tool Samuel Greenfeld once used. The two women embraced. Photographers captured the moment, the Patek watch gleaming between them. The event made front page of the community paper. Widow's watch creates scholarship legacy. In the photo, Dorothy and Keisha stood side by side, the watch visible on Dorothy's wrist, a loop in Keisha's hand.
$80. Now it's a legacy.
The scholarship was officially launched. Dorothy's mission had taken root. Larry Dunham filed a retaliatory lawsuit against Dorothy for emotional distress and damage to reputation. But the judge dismissed it in a single hearing. The local news ran the story. Pawnbroker who missed $2 million watch sues widow, loses. His photo, a mugshot sneer, went viral.
They're laughing at me. Every pawnbroker in the Bronx is laughing.
A week later, workers boarded up the windows of Lucky Pawn. The neon cash sign was pried off, leaving only a dark rectangular scar. A court notice taped to the door read, Lucky Pawn LLC, business license revoked, premises vacated by order of the state.
40 years in this business, destroyed by one old woman and her watch.
He sat in the dark, the remains of his glass case still glittering on the floor, his gold chains cold against his neck.
She won. That woman who couldn't afford a funeral. She walked in with nothing and walked out with everything.
He reached for a half-empty bottle under the counter and poured himself a drink with a shaking hand. Lucky Pawn was dead, and Larry Dunham, alone in the rubble, knew his own greed had buried it. Spring came to Berlin. Dorothy Marshall returned to the museum, where a red ribbon stretched across the entrance of a new wing, the Samuel Greenfeld Gallery.
Dorothy, would you do the honor? This exhibition exists because of you and Samuel's courage.
She snipped the ribbon. The doors opened onto Samuel's photograph, the watch on her wrist catching the gallery light.
Samuel Greenfeld hid a watch so his son could survive. That watch brought me here. His name will now be spoken by students who never knew war.
Applause filled the room. She saw faces from the scholarship committee, from the Bronx, from Berlin. She walked to the replica of Samuel's workbench and laid her hand flat on the wood right beside the hollowed mainspring tool.
This is where it began. In a hidden tool, on a bench like this. He saved it. And now it's come home.
The museum will offer watchmaking workshops in this very room. Your scholarship students will train here.
The exhibit would stand forever. A watchmaker's bench, a yellowed transit permit, and a photograph of a man who refused to let time be stolen. Dorothy turned to leave, the watch warm on her wrist. The world knew Samuel now. But there was one more person she needed to tell. That evening, Dorothy walked through the cemetery again, but this time the sky was clear, the stone warm under a setting sun.
Robert, I did it. The whole world knows your daddy's name now. And his watch is back with me. I set up a scholarship in honor of Samuel. A young woman named Keisha is going to be a watchmaker because of it. He would be so proud. I can feel it.
She pressed her palm, watch and all, flat against the stone, and closed her eyes. The grief lifted, replaced by something steady.
We're all right, Robert. You, me, Samuel. We're all right.
She stood slowly, the weight of 41 years still present, but no longer a burden. It had become a story. She touched the watch to her lips, then turned and walked away, her step lighter than it had been in months. Behind her, the headstone read, Robert E. Marshall. Beloved husband, time can never steal what is remembered. The Patek ticked softly on her wrist, counting out a new hour. Months passed, and the quiet of the Bronx came back to Dorothy's apartment, softer now, filled with the warm hum of an old record player. She opened a worn photo album, tracing her husband's face with the finger that still wore her wedding band beside the Patek.
Look at us, Robert. So young. We never imagined any of this.
Dorothy, it's Keisha. I just got the call. I passed my first certification. I am an apprentice watchmaker now.
Oh, honey, I knew you would. Samuel would be so proud. Your hands are steady, just like his were.
I am going to make you proud, Miss Marshall. I'll come by with my first project this weekend.
They talked for a few more minutes about the museum workshops and the scholarship's second year, Keisha's voice full of plans. When she hung up, Dorothy closed the album and sat for a moment, the Patek's quiet ticking the only sound.
$80. And now little girls will learn to build time.
She leaned back in her chair, the evening light catching the watch's gold. The apartment was quiet, but not empty. It was full. From a Berlin coat lining to a Bronx pawn shop, the watch carried a story no one predicted. A widow walked in with a velvet box and a memory. She walked out with a legacy that reached thousands. Dorothy Marshall only wanted to bury her husband with dignity, but when a pawnbroker offered $80 without turning it over, she said no. And that changed everything. Today, a scholarship bears Samuel Greenfeld's name, and a young woman assembles movements in a workshop that was once lost. The Patek still counts seconds on Dorothy's wrist, no longer about loss. It is about memory and the quiet ferocity of a woman who refused to be undervalued. Patek Philippe, 1948. The engraving that was almost sold for $80. It will never leave her again. Time can never steal what is remembered.